Welcome back to videocast numero 5 here in the ADBL. About a third of the way through the season. Going to try to recap what's going on here during the first little bit of the season and try to transfer us into interleague play this week. We got the AO and NL trying to do battle, and right now the way it's looking right now, it's going to shake up pretty well. Got a pretty even split through our power rankings and standings of AL and NL teams, so this week should really be a pretty even one between the AL and NL. But that being said, we've got to play, and so far this year the playing has gone a lot different than how some of the games would have gone on paper. But let's go ahead and start breaking down the leagues a little bit, try to see what's going on with teams at the top, teams at the bottom, and see who are some of the movers and shakers going forward this season. I'm going to go ahead and start in the NL with the top ranked team in the league. The Phillies still 7-0, keeping that perfect record going. It looks like a strong team, good pitching, good hitting. Just comes together really well. It's a tough win for anybody against them. But some of the interleague teams he'll have to go up against this week, or in the next 2 weeks, could give them a pretty strong challenge, having to play that AL East as we set up in the scheduling. So far, we're going to have to fix that on ESPN, though. That was a little off. Some of the East teams are playing West teams and vice versa. This year's supposed to be the East versus East matchup, so we'll get that fixed today. But really, Phillies are a good team. And then following him up, another team from the East, or two more teams from the East actually, Braves and Rays. Braves finally took another loss this week after losing, I think it was in the first week. We're on a 5-game winning streak there. But, finally took a step back, but still only 2 games back in that Eastern Division, looking pretty good for a wild card spot, even if they can't catch up with the Phillies. But 14 weeks left in the season, there's plenty of time to do that. Plenty of time for them to fall out of the race, but Braves look like a solid team, really top-notch pitching, and then pretty good offense. Got to get more consistent, but it's a good team there. Hayward just went on the DL today, so that's going to hurt the Braves a good bit. And up next are the the Reds at 4-3. Not performing as well as some had thought coming into the year, but that team is a solid team. Definitely a contender, sitting in that second wild card spot for the NL. They'll be in the playoffs. I got a good feeling about that. There's plenty of pitching, plenty of offense to go around. It's just got to start winning some matchups, and that'll happen as the season goes along. Next in the NL, actually all 4 of the Western Conference teams. Dodgers and Giants at 3-4, and then the Rockies and D-backs at 2-4-1. So all 4 teams there within half a game of each other. Really cluttered. No dominant team emerging so far this season. It's going to be tough to call that division winner probably before maybe even the last week of the season, just because everybody's going to stay so tight, packed together. But looking at the performance so far, I mean, there's teams that could be performing a lot better. I know my Rockies finally got another win this week after a 3-game skid. Something like that. It's been a long season, tough getting the offense going. The pitching's been consistent, but the offense has got to get going. The Dodgers have a pretty strong offense. Jay Bruce has really been hitting the ball well the last couple weeks. A lot of home runs out of him, and then the Giants just has a good team overall. Brandon Belt not performing as some thought he would out of the gate. Kind of hurt a little bit, set him back there at first base, but the Giants are going to be right there in it all season long. That's a good team, been a playoff contender every year so far. So the Giants are definitely one to watch in the West, and then also the D-backs, who up until this week had been the division leader. Falling back to the pack a little bit, but there's a good offense there. The pitching's coming around. Got a couple good guys there. So, I mean, there's no team jumping out trying to make their mark. Hopefully over the next few weeks that'll start to emerge a little better. And then finally, wrapping up the NL are the Mets, the lowly Mets. So Corey, no, I mean there's a team on the rebuild. I mean that's as expected. Losing season is going to happen, but the future looks bright. The draft coming up in a couple weeks. The Mets are going to be able to start rebuilding, and then maybe have some of their younger players start coming up this year and next year. That's going to be a team to look out for in a year or two. Not this year so much. I mean, he did give me a loss and get his first win against me, so I can't really say much there. But the Mets are going to be turning around in the next couple years. But for this year, it's going to be another long year. Transitioning over to the AL, got one team up at the top, kind of an elite category, and then a jumbled mess after that. Back to the last couple teams. Taking that top spot are the Red Sox at 6-0-1. It's a really, really good team. Great pitching, leading the ADBL in just about every pitching category for the season. So that's when you come up against the Red Sox, don't expect to win, but maybe one, maybe two pitching categories at the most if you're lucky that week. And that's going to be a tough out for anybody when they've got 4 to 5 categories wrapped up pretty much coming into the week. So the offense doesn't have to be great, but it is led by Ryan Braun, who's one of the best hitters in the game right now. So the Red Sox are looking pretty deadly against any of their competition they're coming up against. And then after that, we got a few teams at 4-3. Actually, we got the Yankees at 4-2-1, right ahead of those 4-3 teams. So the Yankees are sitting there in second in the division, and second in the East as well, looking at one of those wild card spots. But as jumbled up as the AL is right now, those wild card spots are going to take a while to play themselves out. Now, the Yankees do look like a good team. There's really good pitching. Some of the guys coming back from injury and everything. It's going to take a little bit for them to become a little more consistent, but the pieces are there for a really, really successful team. The Rays are kind of in the same boat. Not as many injuries, but the pitching is really good. The offense is up and down. That's why they've got 3 losses as well. But there's definitely some stars with Matt Kemp and a few other guys there, just trying to get a little more results out of those guys. The team that started the year out adding near the top of the ADBL that's fallen, actually in the last 3 weeks, are the Tigers. But that's still a good team, trying to figure out exactly what's going on with their offense. Picked up Gordon Beckham yesterday, try to help out at second base. So the Tigers are trending backwards right now, but they're still a very tough team to take off. So that's going to be a team to look out for going forward as they try to regroup from their 3-game skid here. A team that's actually surprised a good bit this season are the Angels. Start out 0-2 or 0-3 or something on a 3 or 4 game winning streak here to get back to 4-3. It's a team that I didn't expect to do as well as they have done, but it's a good team. And in the West, kind of like the NL, there's no clear favorite right now. So the Angels definitely have a good shot at maybe going on and taking the AL West in a surprise move this year, especially with the farm system they have. That's going to be a strong team for a lot of years going forward. They just called up Eric Hosmer yesterday, so that team's just getting better with the young talent they've got coming up through their system. Next up, starts the lower tier of the AL with 3 teams that are sitting in the cellar at 2-5 or 1-6. The first of those is the Rangers, a team that kind of like the Mets is not expected to do very well this year. Rebuilding, got quite a few draft picks, I think it is, and just picked up a few more in the last couple of days. So we've got a good little system brewing there, and they'll be able to pick up a few guys here in the draft and then be able to really start taking off in the next couple of years. But definitely not a team to be taken lightly going forward, as they could definitely step up and surprise a few teams. And a team sitting there near the bottom that wasn't expected is the White Sox. Playoff team last year, kind of like very similar to my team. just hasn't been able to perform this year, and a team that's been going backwards, but excuse me, but could definitely start taking some steps forward here in the next couple weeks as interleague play takes off, and then they'll get another round inside their division. That could definitely help them catch up a few games really quick. So I definitely wouldn't count the White Sox out here going forward, but currently they're sitting near the bottom of the division, but I'm pretty sure that'll change as the season goes forward. And then finally for the AL, we've got the Royals, who are another team similar to the Rangers and Mets, who aren't near the top in terms of talent, but do have a pretty good farm system set up. Some younger guys who might take a little more time to develop, so free agency will be a big part for the Royals, but it's a team looking to rebound. Another team that's not a pushover. There aren't any pushovers here in the ADBL this year, but not the toughest matchup that team's going to face during any given week. That's the rundown of what we're looking at so far this year in the ADBL. Got interleague play coming up. As I was saying, the East is going to be playing the East, and the West playing the West for 2 weeks. And then we go back for 3 weeks of interdivision play. So during those 3 weeks, we'll probably see a pretty big movement inside the divisions on who's going to be taking a hold on some of those divisional races, and probably start seeing playoff picture take shape a little bit more there in about 5 weeks. So the next 5 weeks will be pretty crucial to setting up the final race down the stretch. But then we'll come back with 2 more weeks of interleague play. Go back to interdivisional play for 4 weeks, and then finish it out with 3 more weeks of I don't know what I'm talking about. 3 more weeks of playing guys in our own division again to wrap up the season. So probably the next 5 weeks, as I was saying, is probably going to be the most crucial here in the middle of the season, trying to jockey for position as teams go forward to make that final playoff push. And then the draft's coming up in actually 2 weeks from today is when the official draft will start. And then we're going to roll out our draft probably that Wednesday or Thursday or so, the 8th or 9th. Give teams time to do a little final research on some of the players drafted, get their boards put together finally, and then we get started on that. A lot of moving and shaking going on in the draft right now. I think the Dodgers pulled the most picks in 9 picks, I'm pretty sure. I was trying to count it up the other day. And then a few teams with 8 picks, and then going all the way down as few as 3 picks for the Yankees, I think it was. So this draft's going to be pretty interesting. Only 5 rounds again this year. So shorten that up, but making the picks a little more premium. There's a ton of talent though. Guys probably as far back as, I don't know, maybe 40, 45 on my big board that could probably go in the first round this year. So I mean, there's a lot of talent going to be available, and those picks are definitely going to help set the stage for the future of the ADBL. Some of those lower tier teams start to try to rebuild their farm systems a little more. That was just a little preview of everything. I'm going to try to come back next week with a look at the draft specifically, some of the players available, what some of the teams are going to be looking for, maybe do a little mock draft as well. So look next week for some draft coverage, get a little insight to some of the players that might be available. Maybe you're able to help yourself out with that. So I'll see y'all next week.